Hello, it's Catherine Nicholson here from the virtual training team, and I'm about to share with you 20 super quick but super important tips to help your virtual training delivery be amazing, really interactive, really engaging, and delivering brilliant learning outcomes. So let's go in no particular order. Tip number 1, encourage everybody to be on camera. I know some people feel a bit awkward about being on camera, but it really makes a huge difference to encourage collaboration and interaction. We know that if people can see other people on camera, they're more likely to have their own camera on, and it's easier for them to interact as well. So if you have a reluctant group, remind them that being on camera themselves helps other people want to interact. And if they don't want to look at themselves, they can just click to hide self-view. Simple. Tip number 2, 1 laptop per person. So what we're finding now with people heading back into the workplace and hybrid training becoming a thing, then often what people do for convenience is if they're in the office, they'll just pile into a room together and get on to the sort of in-room conferencing kit. I would still recommend that they have their own laptop logged into the session as well, so they can engage in any polls and chat and whiteboards that you have going on. Number 3, schedule breaks for longer sessions. Most people can go about 90 minutes without a bio break. So anything longer than that, build in some breaks. You might want to build in one big long break if you've got like a 3-hour session, or maybe a couple of shorter 10-minute breaks, just so people can grab a drink, check their emails, and stay refreshed. Tip number 4, manage the audio. There's a temptation for people to put themselves on mute because they're concerned that there's background noise, but that just becomes a barrier for them to interact. They've got to think about unmuting themselves before they say anything. The truth is, most mics these days, even the ones built into our laptops, are brilliant. They actually lock out quite a lot of the background noise. And so most people should be fine not being on mute. It also means you can hear the ahas, hms, and giggles throughout the session, which makes for a richer experience. Be inclusive and encourage lots of conversation. A surefire way to switch people off is to just talk at them. So make sure that you're including everyone in the conversation throughout your workshop. What's your timing? Now, the nature of virtual workshops means that they're often slotted into the diary of an otherwise busy day. So make sure that you finish on time, because otherwise you might lose people at the end as they have to prepare for or leap off for another meeting that they've got booked in their diary. Tip number 7, linked to timing, is to remember that everything takes longer in the virtual environment. So the content that you could cover in a 90-minute face-to-face workshop is likely to be more than what you could cover in a 90-minute virtual workshop. Things just take a little bit longer. So think about that. Think about making sure that you're putting time into your breakout rooms for people to catch up and say hello, and all those social things that they might miss otherwise. And another one, number 8 on timing, is also to know where you can flex. So if a brilliant, rich conversation takes off in the first half of your workshop, the second half of your workshop isn't suffering, or you're having to rush because you hadn't accounted for that. Next, number 9 is encourage questions throughout. When you go to a webinar, often there's an expectation that we wait until the end for that Q&A section where the slide pops up saying, any questions? In a really interactive virtual workshop, you want to encourage questions throughout, so people aren't waiting or holding back. You're creating opportunities for them to ask their questions as they arise, using things like the chat box or the virtual raised hand. Number 10, use polling and voting. Platforms like Zoom and Teams are improving their polling options all the time, with more and more features coming out, and you can prepare them in advance. You're not worrying about having to think about that during the session. You can use multiple choice quizzes, anonymous polling, word clouds, all sorts. So check it out and build those into your workshops. Number 11, collaborate on whiteboards. So again, there's some amazing whiteboards built into the platforms, or external ones like Miro and Mural that you can use as well. It's a lovely way to get everybody involved visually, creating whiteboards, brainstorming ideas, and then you can export them and share them afterwards as well. Number 12, practice, practice, practice. So if you are sharing your screen, using whiteboards, breakouts, apps, and other things as part of your virtual workshops, practice ahead of time so you know what you're doing, you know what to do if anything goes wrong, and you, of course, feel confident and slick in your delivery. Number 13 is to be aware of your surroundings. What's your lighting like? Is the camera nice and crisp? Is there anything in the background that is distracting or that wouldn't reflect on how you want to present yourself? Just check that out before you switch your camera on. Number 14 is to encourage feedback. If you want to get better, then you need to be open to feedback. And our advice to you is just leave a little bit of time at the end of your workshop for participants to do the feedback there and then. So if you're sharing like a feedback link or a poll, they've got time to do it before they have to disappear off onto their next meeting. Otherwise, the chances of them completing the feedback will be much less. Number 15 is look into your webcam. So you're giving your participants eye contact. Now, this can feel a little strange at first, but the temptation for you is to be looking at the videos on the screen as I'm doing right now. But that means that you're breaking eye contact with your group. Of course, it would be very weird for you to only stare into the webcam for the whole session. But when you've got a really important question to ask or a really important point to make, really look into the webcam and connect with your audience so they're feeling your eye contact. Next, we have 16, check what your participants are seeing on the screen. So as presenter or host, when you're sharing your screen, what you see is likely to be different to what your participants see. So if this is new to you, think about setting up another laptop so you can see the sort of both sides of what you see as host and what your participants are seeing on their screen. So you're clear on that. And you can also help to navigate your participants around their screen if they get stuck. Number 17, drop the slides. Now, we love a good PowerPoint slide deck, and we use PowerPoint to create lots of visuals and help people learn and remember things. But when it comes to conversation time, if you're having a really rich or intimate conversation, bringing the slides down and going into gallery mode is a great way to really encourage that. Everyone can see each other, we can see each other's facial expressions, and it just makes for a fuller, richer conversation. 18, use the annotation tools. Even Teams has annotation tools now, so you can use things like pointers and laser pens to direct your participants' attention on the screen where you want them to look. It just helps you have that extra, I guess, a virtual set of hands on the screen to help guide your participants' eyes. And next we have number 19, keep a learning log. So a learning log is just often a paper-based list of your participants where you can just track contribution, a little mark next to their name every time they speak. So you can make sure that no one's over contributing and you can pull those people in that are maybe under contributing a little bit. And finally, tip 20, flair. What do we mean by flair? Well, this is you bringing your energy and your personality to your delivery. Sometimes, especially when you're new to virtual training, because there's so much to think about, like videos, webcams, chat box, raised hands, your slides, all of that sometimes we forget to bring ourselves into the delivery. Enjoy yourself and your participants will enjoy themselves too. If you want to dive deeper into the whole world of virtual training, then get in touch to find out more about our whole suite of virtual train the trainer programs and masterclasses. But good luck and enjoy, and remember that flair.